The Calgary Flames are once again facing an identity crisis. They're not a playoff team, but they're certainly not a bottom basement dweller.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. Still searching for a great candidate for your company? Don't search, just match with Indeed. Today, we're going to be talking about the Flames season so far in terms of, American Thanksgiving's coming up. This is a big benchmark, big first benchmark of the season for most teams. And is this a playoff team? Are they built different? And what are they going to do at the fork in the road here? There's two different directions they can go. And I think we all have an idea of where this will go. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. I'm here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your Calgary Flames every day. As the saying goes, the tale as old as time, 85% of the teams in playoff spots by American Thanksgiving make the playoffs. Now, that's a good chunk, right? 85%. That's more than 3/4 of the pie. And obviously, 15% don't make it. The Calgary Flames are currently in the first wildcard spot. This is something they've been going back and forth with Edmonton with, and now they're ahead of Colorado by a point. So, I mean, it's all up in the air. Anything is possible between obviously now and April. Anything can happen. We have seen teams do it before. We've seen, underdog victories, or we have seen utter collapses. So, is this something that the Flames can sustain? Because, a wild card spot isn't necessarily bad. But, I mean, that's really not where the Flames expected themselves, or where the general consensus where the Flames would be. It just feels like they're constantly going against the grain. Like, they're always underestimated, and they pour fuel on that fire by putting on stellar performances. I do wonder what things would look like had they not won 4 straight to start the season. I think that, really helped them a lot. They have not won consecutive games since. So, is this sustainable? Do the Flames have it in them to, number one, win enough games to make it into a playoff spot? But also, like, are they fine just coasting? Is this something that, like, the Pacific Division and Western Conference is kind of bad enough, if you will, that you can just kind of skate by and not, you don't have to be a top caliber team, like how the East is a little bit, at least right now, I would say the East has a little bit tougher competition. But I feel like a lot of the Western Conference teams are just that mushy middle. And is that where the Flames are going? Is that where the Flames are going to be? And we're going to talk about that more later in terms of fork in the road. But I think right now, the only goal the Flames need to be focusing on is just that. Goals. They cannot score. They have a very difficult time scoring. And while the goaltending is great, you do need that offense to push you over the edge, and the Flames are just having such a difficult time. And I don't know what it is other than the fact that they're not shooting the puck. Last season, it felt like it was a confidence issue for Rasmus Andersson, but now it feels like they are just overpassing, and misreading things, and so far in their heads that they can't do what is routine. And what's become routine is now overpassing, and that's becoming muscle memory. So I do Um, I do have concerns about that. I think that the lack of offense is absolutely something everyone should be concerned with. My biggest issue last week was Miramonov scoring the first goal against the Predators. That I'm very happy he found the score sheet. That's fantastic. But there are a handful of names I would expect to generate real scoring chances before Miramonov. He is a defenseman. And he's not like an offensive defenseman like a Mackenzie Weegar, like Rasmus Anderson, Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes. Like that's not who he is or who he has shown us to be. You know, why hasn't Huberdeau notched his 500th assist yet? Where's Kadri? Zary needs to figure out how to finish. Kuzmenko, Sharangovich, like there are Coronado, even like there are a number of players that create real chances and have the opportunity to score more that just aren't. And obviously, I don't have a problem with defenseman scoring. That's fine. I don't care. My issue is why was he the only one at that point in the game? And that might seem silly, like, okay, like a goal is a goal. Yes, you're absolutely right. A goal is a goal. But when you are going up against a team that has had a horrendous start to the season, that is on the second half of a back-to-back game when I believe the game against Edmonton went into overtime, you should be dog walking them. You should be walking all over them like they are a doormat, and you aren't. It should not be an evenly matched game. Flames had time off. They should have put on their big boy pants and gotten it together. I don't know what else to say. It stinks. Like I don't enjoy over criticizing and picking apart this team. I don't. I would love to talk about Jonathan Huberdeau doing, getting his 500th assist. Would love to talk about Kuzmenko scoring on the power play. I would love to talk about this team winning a game more than one day. But that just hasn't happened yet. And that's part of the sustainability thing. Is losing multiple games in a row sustainable? Probably. With the way that we have seen, and we're going to talk about a little bit more coming up next year in terms of special teams, in terms of who, what needs to happen for them to catch up and really make the playoffs. And we will be right back after this. We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Indeed's matching system, it gets better every time you use it and helps pair you with the best candidates. Ditch the busy work, use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And all you need to do is visit Indeed.com and get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your job more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Simple enough. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. You need to hire, you need Indeed. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on this fine afternoon or evening, whenever you're listening. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your team every day. I think there is something that we have absolutely exhausted on this podcast, and it is playing better. These are all, it's a talented group of guys. absolutely. And another thing that we've just talked about is, special teams. The power play and penalty kill are some of the worst in the league. That is not something you can take into the playoffs with you. Special teams win you playoff games and win you series. We've seen that. Like, if you watched Florida at all last playoff season, they made other teams take penalties. Yeah, sure, they were in the box too, but like they were able to generate power play goals. They could kill off penalties. It was not very it's a stark difference from what we've seen with the Flames so far. And the fact that there is just no ambition to shoot the puck, like, I don't know what it is. It's supposed to be natural instinct, and I'm not someone that enjoys yelling, "Shoot the puck," because I feel like that's a little, like, redundant. Like, of course they need to shoot the puck, it's hockey, but this team has just, like, developed an allergy to shooting the puck, and we've seen that. The fact that they have outshot opponents recently is good. But it needs to be consistent, and there needs to be 2 points attached to that, or at least a point, because you just you can't not win multiple games in a row and expect to be a playoff team. The fact that you have not won and strung together 2 wins in over a month should be a sign of concern. 4 losses, no problem, but there's it's win, loss, 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 win, win, well, like, whatever the pattern is, and they're at home. They have complete opportunity to take advantage of these next few games at home. I called it a home stand reset, and they took the first game against Nashville. Can they flip this switch and get it going? No more overthinking. Can they please shoot the puck? It is all basic things that they are capable of doing and that has carried them to the NHL. I don't know how difficult it is to say. Like, it's very straightforward. I think that, obviously taking poorly timed penalties, not great. Not great. And that's something that, like, we've kind of seen change a little bit. I think that if you have Connor Zary at center more, you're going to see more from this team. I wanna see him find, the score sheet a little bit more as well. I feel like we've seen a little bit of a dip in production, but Martin Pospisil only has 1 goal this season. Um, and, Sharangovich and Kuzmenko have really struggled this season. I think that obviously, you have to give Sharangovich a little bit of grace because he did get injured in the final preseason game. So, there is that. Absolutely. But Kuzmenko just he's back to the dead weight, I guess, that he was in Vancouver when they traded him. And, he lit up the Flames power play last year post trade deadline. Where is it? I don't I don't know what it is. I don't know. I don't think it's a lack of chemistry. I feel like it's a lack of not initiative. Initiative isn't the right word, and IQ isn't the right word, but that lack of natural instinct. Like, it should be second nature to you. You've been playing this game since you could walk, right? You have played, most of these players have played in the NHL for a number of years, or not even just the NHL, but high level hockey. You have to have a certain skill level, and you don't get that skill level without knowing what to do. So let's go back. Like, it feels like we need to go back to drawing X's and O's and reminding players how to read passes, how to, complete a pass, when to shoot versus when not to shoot. Like, it just feels like there's such a big disconnect. I don't know what it's going to take to wake them up. They're not in a situation similar to other teams where, they were projected to be a talented or not talented, but a high performing team, and now they're underperforming and now the coach is on the hot seat. It isn't like that. We knew going into this season that the Flames were going to be this. This is what they are, and it's up to them to determine if they want to go one way or another. And Ryan Huska has done a good job. Wolf is starting consecutive games again tonight after that shutout against Nashville. Huge congratulations to him. And that's the other thing. Your goaltending can only carry you so far. I think of the New York Rangers. When your stars aren't performing, when Panarin goes missing, when Mika Zibanejad goes missing, Chris Kreider, and you have defensemen going out there and doing stupid stuff, you can't expect your goalie to hold you up. Dustin Wolf cannot carry this team on his back. He needs some help. And it's time for people to start clocking in and performing. You say you're a good team, then be it. Don't just talk about it, be about it. Because I feel like we are missing so much. It's like we have scratched the surface and we're not hitting where we need to. We're not striking gold. And I just need something to click. I don't know what it's going to be. Because if I had that answer, I would be at the Saddle Dome trying to get Ryan Huska's attention, saying, "Listen, I got it. I solved the equation. Listen to me." Like, there would be some sort of revelation, and there has not been. You need everyone on the same. I have said this since I've started hosting this show almost 5 years ago, and nothing has changed. Everyone on this team needs to be on the same page, the same paragraph, the same sentence, the same word of the same book. It is not hard. When you might be on the same page, but if you're reading this as, oh, he's going to obviously shoot, and then he passes to you and you're off guard, like there's a disconnect, and you have to be able to communicate and have that chemistry and that understanding and fortitude, I think is the word, to just do it. Just do it. And get the job done. And coming up next, we're going to talk about the fork in the road, because this is a conversation, again, that we have yearly in terms of the Flames' identity. Who are they? What are they? Which direction are they going to go? And is it going to take until game 82 to get there? All right, Flames fans. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just need to pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long at Prize Picks. Prize Picks now offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawal into your account this sports season. Prize Picks puts their members first, so withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. And like I just mentioned, with Venmo, sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% off, so you can have even more value to your lineups. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're following me on Blue Sky and Twitter at JustBelmosto. The fork in the road. This is a conversation we've had many times, right? If you're new here, thanks for tuning in. If you stick around, this is probably a conversation we're going to have in 6 weeks too, and even next year and the year after that. But the Flames, the plan for this season was to not be in the mushy middle. The expectation in the room, be a playoff team. But they're talking about acquiring high-end talent. Now, you don't always know. There can always be a sleeper in the draft. You never know. But think to yourself, where are most of the top players in the league drafted? Right. Top 10, top 5, not really necessarily in that middle, in that teen. I mean, obviously, look at David Pastrnak, who got drafted 25th overall, or 26th. But it's one of those occasions where you don't know. You do not know. And the fact that we find ourselves in this situation again, trying to figure out what the outcome is going to be. In one direction, you're in the mushy middle. And that's if they continue to play the way that they play, they're going to find themselves there in that 12 to 18 spot. Or really 12 to 19, I would say. That doesn't do you any good. Obviously, you got Matt Coronado and Sam Honzik in that spot. But, like, what? You can't bank on that. You know, Zane Perrick, top 10 pick. Fantastic. Like, you need to be drafting closer that way, and not down. But the other option, obviously, is just circle the drain. I'm not saying you need to be hanging out with who's bad? Anaheim, Ottawa, the Habs, San Jose. Like, I'm not saying you need to be down there, but you gotta be kind of close if you want those high draft picks. And that's fine. You know what? I think either way, like, we get good things out of this, right? Obviously, playoff team, you get playoff hockey at the Saddle Dome. I would love to experience a playoff game at the Saddle Dome. I would love to watch a good playoff hockey game and not be like, oh, this team hasn't played hockey in 6 months. Like, I would love that. And there are so many deserving players on this team that, what an underdog story. But I also love the idea of the Flames just being garbage and drafting high because it's not about winning now. They have made that abundantly clear. The goal, the message in the room is to be a playoff team, but realistically, they know what they're doing. There are too many veterans on this team for them to be as bad as Chicago. Chicago has veterans, but they just healthy scratched Taylor Hall. So, I don't think that that's a model to follow. And they did just have the number 1 pick overall with Connor Bedard. So, like, you can't even compare that situation in terms of talent, right? The Flames don't necessarily have a generational talent on their team. You can argue Dustin Wolf, and I would say let me see another year or 2 in the NHL and we'll start that conversation. But, like, you have the opportunity to take these next few years slow, right? Craig Conroy has made it clear this team needs to have life breathed back into them. It is about getting faster, getting better, playing harder, and getting younger. Getting younger. They're not doing that through free agency. They have to do that through the draft. They have to. There's no other way to do it. Unless you're just constantly trading prospects, but that doesn't do you any good. You need a homegrown player. You need to have some success from home, from there. I don't think this wild card spot is sustainable for this team. They've already gotten touched by the injury bug, obviously, to start the season. Sharangovich and Anthony Mantha is out for the season. All it takes is Dustin Wolf to pull a muscle, and Dan Vladar is starting 5 games straight, and you're probably in trouble. The way that, Mackenzie Weegar and Rasmus Anderson play, they're blocking shots. Again, something off the heel or the shin, the knee. Not great. Martin Pospisil, concussion. He has a long concussion history. All it takes is one thing to fall apart, and this Jenga tower is crumbling down. But my goal for this team is to make it to April. That's it. I don't think that they are a playoff team. And if they are, it's probably not going to be much. So is it even worth it? You're never going to convince a group of grown athletes, grown men, to tank. But if you just keep coasting, you might get somewhere. That might be the top 10. We saw how the second half of last year went. I wouldn't be surprised if they do try to dump Kuzmenko. And maybe I don't really see them necessarily moving any other pieces unless something happens, but it's possible. I don't think any of this is sustainable. But we will keep checking in on this on Locked On Flames, and that'll do it for today's episode. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your Calgary Flames every day. And I will be back tomorrow with a recap of sorts again from tonight's game against the New York Islanders. But until then, stay safe, stay warm, stay dry, stay cool, stay hydrated, and remember to be kind.